Backstage speculation on what talent think Tony Khan's major announcement could be tonight on AEW Dynamite. Plus, Tony Khan hypes up the major announcement prior to tonight's show. Andrade says his AEW contract is expiring very soon. MJF explains what the rules are for MJF Day. Bryan Danielson explains why he's having longer matches in All Elite Wrestling. And former WWE composer Jim Johnston reveals he's offered AEW to do their themes. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling, and certainly the biggest story in AEW right now is trying to figure out what this major, huge announcement is tonight from Tony Khan on AEW Dynamite. Well, we've got some news when it comes to the chatter backstage in AEW and what certain AEW talents think the big announcement from Tony Khan could be. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Tony Khan's latest big announcement is upon us, and the AEW locker room, unsurprisingly, is talking. As of now, the exact announcement is not known, but some plans are in the works, and upcoming announcements were speculated on by talent. Now, please be aware that this is just backstage chatter from members of the locker room. This isn't a report like this is what the announcement is going to be or anything like that. Now, an upcoming UK announcement is one of the popular theories, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Within the AEW roster, the OVO Arena Wembley in the summer has picked up a lot of steam as a real possibility. There are actually a couple of members at the top of the roster pushing for that. Another announcement rumored has been the upcoming Saturday show. Fightful have long heard chatter that there could be some roster parity in that sense. We haven't heard as what something like that would do to AEW Rampage or Ring of Honor, but it certainly it's been heard that it's been discussed as of right now. There were also Ring of Honor talent hoping that the brand would start traveling a bit more soon, but those that Fightful spoke to believe that was more wishful thinking and wouldn't be related to tonight's announcement or anything like that. Now, Fightful haven't heard that CM Punk returning would be a possible announcement, but they do know that Tony Khan and Punk have talked many times in recent months, so as of right now, it's still kind of unknown. The prevailing theory is that it's going to be some kind of UK show announcement. The question is, though, as is the case with all this kind of stuff, is this really something that people would describe as a major, huge announcement, and certainly something that Tony Khan is describing as one of the biggest announcements in AEW history? Now, speaking of this big announcement tonight on AEW Dynamite, AEW President Tony Khan has continued to hype up the big announcement coming on tonight's episode of Dynamite from Long Island, New York. Khan took to Twitter to write, quote, "Tomorrow live," this was yesterday, on TBS, Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite returns to New York at the UBS Arena. This is where it gets really interesting. He says, quote, "I believe tomorrow will be one of our most important Wednesday night Dynamite shows we've done, with great wrestling and story, and one of our most important announcements ever in AEW tomorrow on TBS." Of course, Khan's made numerous big announcements over the years in AEW. Perhaps the biggest was when he acquired Ring of Honor. It's hard to know what he will be announcing, but certainly we explained earlier what the talent think Khan is going to be announcing. Now, he has continued this tease via interviews with Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso. He previewed his special announcement and noted that it will mark a huge milestone for the company. He said, quote, "This is something I've dreamed of for years. It's a huge milestone for AEW, and I can't wait to talk about it. There will be fans around the world who will be excited. It is one of the most important announcements ever in AEW," Khan said. Of course, there's going to be plenty of action this evening, followed by AEW All Access as well, so Tony Khan's continued to hype that up. But in the same interview, this was got quite interesting actually, Tony Khan spoke about the possibility of AEW replicating what New Japan Pro Wrestling have done in the past, and also what WWE now does for WrestleMania. Since its inception, AEW has held quarterly pay-per-view events, though they did expand in 2022 with the inclusion of Forbidden Door, a joint event between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. AEW has treated its 4 events with similar value, rarely putting more prestige on one event over the other. In contrast, WWE has turned WrestleMania into a signature event and has expanded the event to be a multi-day affair. Speaking to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, Tony Khan was asked if AEW could do something similar with a multi-day event. He said, quote, "We could do one event spanning a weekend, and we could also do multiple events across a week," says Khan. "It's something we're considering, especially as we keep entering so many new debut markets. We're looking forward to expanding and holding more huge events. It is unknown or if or when AEW will expand pay-per-view events to 2-night affairs." Tony Khan continues to increase his wrestling schedule with Ring of Honor events and AEW House Rules events too, but the opportunity to do a multi-day event hasn't not been considered by Tony Khan. It is something that he says is considering that an AEW could do in the future. Now, it's a day full of announcements, certainly, and one is the signing of Nigel McGuinness. Former WWE and Ring of Honor star Nigel McGuinness is now All Elite. Of course, McGuinness made his return to wrestling at last weekend's Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor event, providing commentary for the show. Today, Tony Khan took to Twitter prior to tonight's AEW Dynamite show to announce that McGuinness is officially All Elite. It's not known what role McGuinness will have in the company, or if he will just be appearing on just Ring of Honor or only AEW going forward. McGuinness recently spoke about his in-ring future and how he would love to get back in the ring. Tony Khan tweeted out today, "Nigel McGuinness is a legend in pro wrestling, and now Nigel McGuinness is All Elite. See you all tonight on TBS for a massive Wednesday night Dynamite, and I'll have a very important announcement on TBS tonight." So Tony Khan continuing to promote that big announcement as well. But it's not the only signing that's been announced today. AEW has signed a former WWE senior executive, and that is that AEW has actually hired a big former WWE name, according to PW Insider. AEW has hired former WWE Vice President of Communications Adam Hopkins. Now, while his official title is not yet known, Hopkins spent many years working in WWE's PR department, so that would likely be the area of the company that he indeed joins. Many sources confirm that Hopkins started last Wednesday's Dynamite show in St. Louis, so he is already on the road for AEW. Hopkins was one of WWE's longest tenured employees, with him initially joining their fan services department back in September 1997. Hopkins worked for WWE for over 25 years when he left the company earlier this year. Many WWE stars reacted to his departure when he left, praising Hopkins for all of his work. So certainly a big hire for AEW, someone that's got a lot of experience when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. Now, what's the latest with Andrade El Idolo? We know he's had his issues in AEW and wants to leave the company. Well, speaking to Lucha Libre Online, Andrade El Idolo said, quote, "I'm with AEW to make it clear, soon my contract will expire. I had a tear in my chest and I got surgery in November. I was out for 4 months, but soon I'll be back. I was at the Hall of Fame accompanying my wife to be next to a great friend, Rey Mysterio. He's the symbol for all Latinos, Rey Mysterio." While Andrade El Idolo made his debut for AEW in June 2021, it is unclear exactly when his contract is set to expire. As he mentioned, he has been on the shelf for the past 4 months. He's also been suspended, so certainly AEW could possibly add time on for injury. It's something that AEW has done for big contracts, the likes of Kenny Omega and others. As I mentioned, Andrade El Idolo was spotted at WrestleMania 39, as he mentioned, at the Hall of Fame ceremony, as well as he was there to support his wife, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair lost her SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 39 on Saturday, April 1st, 2023 to Rhea Ripley. But Andrade El Idolo says that his contract with AEW could expire soon. It's well known he wanted and does want to return to WWE. Whether or not things have changed in his mind, since of course Vince McMahon seemingly is now back in creative control of that company, remains to be seen. Of course, Charlotte Flair, she's now taking a break from WWE after WrestleMania. Again, is this to coincide with the absence of Andrade from AEW at the moment? We'll have to wait and see. Now, MJF, he's been serenaded because, of course, as I mentioned, AEW Dynamite tonight is back in Long Island, and April 5th isn't just the first night of Passover, it is also a Maxwell Jacob Friedman special MJF Day on AEW Dynamite. Now, taking to Twitter, the AEW World Champion shared his rules for celebrating MJF Day properly. Tweeting, quote, "Important," MJF also shared a graphic with the list of rules. The MJF Day rules are as follows. If you see MJF, you have to admit he is better than you and you know it, then hand him $50. Everyone who attends UBS Arena must come with a scarf or be refused entry. Everyone who attends the show must buy MJF merch or be escorted off the premises. Everyone who is not attending the show must buy MJF merch at shopaw.com. When you wake up on MJF Day, you must listen to at least 3 songs by the following artists: Louis Prima, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Sammy Davis Jr., and Justin Bieber. And lastly, if you see a homeless person on the street, kick them in the ribs. With the noted exception of the last one, as far as by MJF standards, the rules are almost reasonable for the big night in Long Island this evening. Now, there's no word on whether or not AEW Dynamite will really just be a 2-hour-long Passover day for MJF Day, although book it for next year, Tony. That could be incredibly entertaining. There are plenty of matches featured on the card. There is a massive career versus titles match featuring FTR challenging the Guns for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Of course, if they win, they become the champions. If they lose, they've pledged to leave AEW forever. Obviously, that's in addition to that major announcement that Tony Khan has got for the broadcast this evening as well. Bryan Danielson has already had multiple Match of the Year candidates. Bryan Danielson loves many things: his wife Brie Bella, his kids, and occasionally putting an opponent of his in a submission hold or two. But another thing he likes in wrestling is having very long matches. This was recently proven in a massive way when Danielson went over an hour with MJF in an Iron Man match at AEW Revolution, although MJF ultimately emerged victorious. Given that most wrestlers like to get in and out of the ring as quickly as possible, it would be fair to ask Danielson why he likes to have longer matches so much. RJ City was more than up to the task when he asked Danielson about that very topic on City's weekly internet show, Hey EW. Quote, "I would argue I'm not trying to impress anybody," Daniel said. "I'm trying to push myself, my physical and mental limits, or I'm trying to teach the youngsters to have better focus, to be able to watch something for a sustained period of time. That's what I'd like my kids to be able to do, to sustain their focus and not be distracted by all these stupid things that appear on mobile phones." In addition to his love of long matches, Danielson was also coaxed into discussing numerous topics by City, including the fact that he's never watched hit sitcoms Cheers or Frasier, his love of the Bloodhound Gang song The Bad Touch, and other subjects such as locker room talk and apples. Not discussed, however, was Danielson and Blackpool Combat Club's recent attack on Kenny Omega on last week's episode of AEW Dynamite, though the group is expected to address the situation on tonight's episode of the show. Finally, Jim Johnson, one of my favourite people in pro wrestling, because he's come up with some of the most iconic theme songs of all time. When it comes to composing wrestling themes, Jim Johnson has long been considered the gold standard. The composer created some of the most memorable themes during the golden years of WWE and remained with the company up until being released in 2017, his 32nd year with the promotion. Johnston hasn't appeared in another wrestling promotion, which has surprised many, but he retains an active interest in wrestling. In an appearance on Conversations with Conrad, he revealed that he had attempted to contact AEW about composing themes for them. Quote, "I actually approached AEW at one point to write some themes for them with no interest," Johnson said. "Now, the way I approached it, it's very possible the people in charge never got the memo. I'd be happy to write some themes for them. I'd be happy to write some themes for WWE, but I would never want to get as immersed as I was." Johnson expressed frustration with the themes that he hears nowadays in both AEW and WWE, to the point he often finds himself shaking his head at what he hears. He believes the art of composing wrestling themes has gotten away from the core magic he used to attempt to capture. Quote, "What does the music have to do with anything?" Johnson asked. "We've gone from a time where you could be cooking in the kitchen and the TV's 2 rooms away and you could tell who's coming out of the ring. And now it's just noise to me. I don't understand how did that transition happen where it seemed just to get down to pure noisy spectacle of it all, and we kind of lost the magic of it's all about character and storyline." So let me know, would you like to see Jim Johnson compose themes for AEW? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.